What's worse than taking the life of an innocent child? Maybe finding out that someone in her family did it. Or maybe that it was another child.
The way I look at it is, and it goes back to my daughter, is I try and be the prosecutor I would want if something happened to my daughter.
Yeah. Imagine if you found out that your daughter was missing one day. Then imagine that the police would uncover the worst possible outcome and that her teenage cousin committed the unspeakable crime. In April 2022, Lily would lose her life in the most horrifying way imaginable. Then her family would have to come to terms with all the shocking plot twists that followed. Trigger warning, we'll be discussing themes of violence and assault against children. This is your chance to turn back and check out our other videos. Eliana Lily Peters' life began like any other. She was born in 2012 and grew up with her loving parents in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. She was a happy girl who did well in school and loved to hang out with her family. This included her extended family too. Not too far away from her own home was her aunt's home. Sometimes she would go there after school or on weekends and play with her cousin Carson, who is 4 years older than her. In many respects, Carson was like an older brother to Lily. And what's cooler than chilling with your older brother when you're 10 years old? So, on April 24th, 2022, Lily went over to Carson's house for the day. It was a sunny Sunday and the two cousins were going to take advantage of it. Perhaps go skateboarding around the house or walk down to the nearby forest trails. But that night, Lily didn't come home. She was a 10-year-old girl who was very close to her family, so disappearing was very unlike her. She wouldn't run away from home, and she would always answer her phone. So that evening, Lily's parents got extremely worried. They phoned Lily's aunt. Of course, that's where they thought she was. But she hadn't seen her niece for hours and hours. Carson didn't know anything either. Lily's dad's heart sank. But he knew what he had to do. That night, he called 911 and declared his daughter missing. An immediate search began. As you know, the faster you find the missing person, the more likely their chances of survival are. The police officers began their search in Lily's neighborhood and extended in wider and wider circles to the surrounding neighborhoods and forests. It would take a night and a day to find her, but eventually they did. However, this was no good news. Lily's lifeless body was lying in an unnatural position in the forest. She had been violated and strangled. And believe me, the story is about to get even darker.
The last couple of days here since Lily first went missing, then her body was found in the woods. There's certainly a sense of on edge and fear in this town without having any answers.
First, the police had to deliver the news to Lily's family. It's hard to imagine how they must have felt. Then it was unavoidable. The news made the headlines throughout the country, and the Chippewa Falls community was shattered. Things like this simply didn't happen in this small town. People were afraid. Was there a serial killer determined to take the lives of more innocent children?
Her killing has sent shockwaves through this small Wisconsin city, schools, and law enforcement urging parents to be vigilant and keep an eye on their children. Many wondered if there was a killer living among them.
The police were at a loss as well, but only for a short while. Over the next few days after discovering Lily's body, Chippewa Falls police proceeded to interview everyone in Lily's family: her parents, her aunt and uncle, and her cousin. On April 26th, 2 days after Lily's death, the police interviewed Carson. What he told them led to an immediate arrest.
This evening, we arrested a juvenile suspect in this case. The suspect was not a stranger. Suspect was known to the victim. We do not believe there is any danger to the community.
Sure, the danger was over, but now the community and Lily's family had to face another fact. It was Carson, Lily's 14-year-old cousin, who violated and killed her. How could a child do something so vile to another child? Moreover, they thought they knew him quite well. After all, he had shared their blood and their last name.
Just so sad that this happened, and I just don't really know how to put it into words.
I don't think we've actually grasped it yet.
That Sunday, Carson and Lily went out, Carson on his hoverboard and Lily on her bike. They were supposed to ride for a while, then Lily was supposed to ride her bike home, just a few streets away. But by then, Carson had decided to end Lily's life. He convinced her to veer off the trail and go deeper into the woods. There, he punched her in the stomach. He punched and punched her till she fell down. Then he beat her with sticks. Then she strangled her until he was sure she was unconscious. Then he took off her pants and assaulted her. What kind of 14-year-old does such a thing?
When he did get off of the trail, the victim in the stomach knocked her to the ground, essentially strangled her, hit her with a stick before pulling her to the point of death before he then sexually assaulted her.
Finally, he got scared of what he did and ran home. He had a shower and changed his clothes, but that evening he heard his cousin was missing and that the police were looking for her. So he ran back to the forest, dragged Lily's body a few feet, then covered her with leaves in a desperate attempt to hide her from the cops. Does this case remind you of another one? That's right. A few decades ago, it was 13-year-old Eric Smith who lured a little boy into the woods and left his body under a pile of leaves. In 2022, Eric Smith was released from prison, and everyone is hoping he's had the time to rethink his life and start afresh with a kinder attitude. But Lily's case is far from over. By the end of April 2022, Carson Petersberger appeared in court, in adult court. He might have been 14, but the severity of his actions could not be ignored in this case. Carson spoke for just a few seconds, though, through a screen, but he'd already told a very rich story to the detectives.
And we learned some disturbing details of what they say he told police.
Indeed, Carson's bail was set at $1 million. The reason was very simple.
The court is concerned that this could be a further threat if the individual was no longer in custody.
Someone who can take a life so suddenly and so brutally, no matter their age, is someone who can definitely kill again if given the freedom to. Carson was charged with first-degree murder, first-degree sexual assault, and the gruesome reminder, first-degree sexual assault of a child under 13. Carson even admitted to the jury that he wanted to do the very worst to Lily ever since they left his home that morning.
Prosecutors say the 8th grader told police that he intended to rape and kill her from the beginning. The gruesome murder has devastated the community, which has been on edge ever since Lily went missing.
Incredibly enough, Carson's mom, who is Lily's dad's sister, tried to lower his bail. Her argument was that he was too young to flee the state, as he didn't have a driver's license. But the prosecutor's response was a clear no.
Everyone in this world has access to someone who can help them to be somewhere else.
Carson's trial is still ongoing as of August 2022. The main topic of discussion is whether he should be charged as an adult.
Really, the protocols aren't that different, other than they have to convince a judge or a court to raise the venue in which they will be tried and prosecuted from a juvenile venue to an adult venue.
In Carson's case, it seems like this is what's going to happen.
And what they need to show is that that child had malice aforethought, that that child premeditated their crime, and that the crime was specifically extremely heinous.
He kind of ticks all the boxes, doesn't he? Sadly, when a child is so far gone that he can commit several unspeakable crimes, then calmly confess to them, chances of redemption are very low.
These acts are so completely heinous. In many of these cases, these individuals committing these crimes have lost their ability to empathize, and they are driven by their sexual lust and appetites, and or they're just lust and thrilled to kill.
It's a dark thought that there are children out there whose urges are to assault and take innocent lives just for the thrill of it. Have they had horrific experiences at home, or are they just bad seeds? In Carson's case, the answer is unclear. But one thing is definitely distressing. His mother is the sister of Lily's dad. Lily was raised by a patient, caring, loving family who spent all their free time playing or chatting with their daughter. Was Carson's family that different? Something must have gone awfully wrong inside that home, and apparently it did. Adam Berger, Carson's dad, spent 3 years in prison after he was caught in possession of child pornography. Who knows just how much Carson knew and how much he was affected by his father's actions. Today, Lily's father has started a petition for a better missing children alert. He was extremely upset that no Amber Alert was issued when he declared Lily missing.
One father says we can do better. We should do better. And he is starting a petition to create a system to alert the public when a child goes missing and an Amber Alert is not issued, which was not issued in Lily's case. He is calling this alert the Lily Alert.
The rules for an Amber Alert to go out are so specific that many children that are actually missing get left out, even though their lives are in grave danger.
She didn't meet the requirements based on the fact that there was not an abductor's vehicle. She went missing at 9 o'clock. She was found the next morning, 12 hours later. As a parent, when your child goes missing, that sinking feeling in your stomach, no parent should have, especially when you're just trying to keep your child safe.
Wasn't the whole point of Amber Alert to notify everyone of a missing child case as soon as they go missing? After all, it was also named after a sad case. In a sad and tragic twist, it seems like it always takes a child dying or worse for the laws to change. It's good that we learn from our mistakes, but it would be even better if we would plan ahead and prevent horrible cases like these from ever happening. Thanks for watching, you guys. What do you think about this case? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.